Hello, and welcome to the City of Tallahassee. This webinar is provided by the city's Growth Management Department. Our goal is to provide an overview of the permitting process from beginning to end. Whether you're a neighbor who wants to learn more about how new development is reviewed, or a developer who wants to sharpen your skills, this webinar provides an A to Z overview of the steps that a new project must follow in the city to be approved. We're going to cover 4 topics in this webinar. First, we'll discuss how you can connect with the Growth Management Department so that you can more effectively participate in the development process. Second, we'll highlight the big picture of the development process. There are important steps that happen prior to the involvement of the Growth Management Department, so it's important that you understand the big picture. Third, we'll provide a detailed explanation of the various steps in the development process that are coordinated by Growth Management. Finally, we'll offer a few closing thoughts. We'll start with how you can get involved. There are many stakeholders in the development process. They include neighbors, local businesses, environmentalists, developers, and many others. Whatever your motivation for wanting to be involved, we welcome it. The next few slides will explain how you can connect with the city's Growth Management Department and participate in the review process for new development. Of course, we're always happy to hear from you in person. Our office is on the 3rd floor of the city's Renaissance building at 435 North Macomb Street, at the corner of North Macomb and West Virginia Streets. That's about a block to the north of the FSU campus near downtown Tallahassee. If you don't have time to visit our office, you can still reach us by phone at 850-891-7001. And you can also reach us at our website at www.talgov.com. Our online chat function is a great way to get a fast answer as well. Just go to the city's website at www.talgov.com, then go to Services and click on Growth Management. Finally, click on the blue icon that says Click to Life Support Online. From there, just provide your name, email, and question. Use the pull-down menu to choose which department you wish to reach. When you click on the Start Chat button, you'll be connected online to one of our staff members. The city also uses several tools to communicate with citizens concerning new development projects. One of those tools is our public notice signs. You'll see them throughout the city wherever a new development is proposed. Starting in January 2019, the old lime green signs were replaced with the signs shown on this slide. Each sign has a large letter that identifies it clearly from a distance. A is for a right-of-way abandonment. D is for a deviation from development standards. S is for a subdivision. P is for a site plan. V is for a variance. C is a comprehensive plan amendment. And finally, Z is for a zoning amendment. The signs also have a QR code that you can scan with your smartphone. It takes you directly to a map on our website, which features a wide range of information about the development proposal. The Growth Management website has an interactive map that lists all projects currently under review. To see it, just go to the tab labeled Meetings and Agendas and scroll down. If you hover your cursor on the map, you can zoom in and out with your mouse. Click on the project that interests you, and a new window will appear with project details, including the proposed plans. The city's Office of Economic Vitality also has a series of very helpful interactive maps at its website. Their website is at www.oevforbusiness.org. Just go to the pull-down menu titled Data Center at the top middle of the screen. The Major Developments map provides a wealth of information about projects at all stages of the development process in both the city and the county. This map differs from the map on the last slide because it also includes projects that have applied for a pre-submittal. That's the earliest stage of an application. It also includes projects that have a building permit and are under construction. If you click on any of the project icons, you'll see the details of that specific project. The Office of Economic Vitality has many other resources as well, such as maps that depict the location of key industries and much more. The city also offers a popular email subscription service for all of our meeting agendas. Please go to www.talgov.com/411 for additional information. All you have to do is provide your email address and click on the types of agendas that you want to receive. You'll then have them delivered to your email as soon as they're ready. When the city receives a development application, we mail notices to all property owners, occupants, and registered neighborhood associations within 1,000 feet of the project site. The notice provides the project name, the location, the size, a description, the name of the applicant's representative, and the date and location of the public meeting. There may be times when you need records related to a project. Our records management team can help. From the Growth Management website, scroll down to the Land Use and Environmental Services section, then click on Applications and Forms, then scroll all the way to the bottom and click on General Forms. Finally, click on Records Request and fill out the brief form to indicate what you're looking for. The records will be sent to your email as a PDF, usually within 24 hours. Sometimes an existing development may do something that doesn't meet the zoning code. For example, some zoning districts allow outdoor storage if it's behind a fence. But what happens if that requirement isn't met? That's where the city's code enforcement staff gets involved. The city generally does not proactively seek out code enforcement violations. However, if a violation is reported to us, a code enforcement officer will go to the site and work to resolve the problem with the property owner. If the problem can't be resolved, the violation will be referred to the code board, which has the authority to impose fines. It's important to note that most cases are resolved before that final step. As I mentioned a few slides ago, there are important steps in the development process prior to the involvement of the Growth Management Department. The next few slides provide a big picture overview of the entire process. We'll go into the details in a moment. For now, we're just trying to sketch out the big picture. The steps that a project goes through are very much like a pyramid. Each step builds on the steps that precede it. A building permit is at the top of the pyramid, but an applicant gets there through the process described in this webinar. Everything begins with the comprehensive plan, which is essentially the master plan for how a community is anticipated to grow over the next 20 years. While the comprehensive plan is a 20-year long-term plan, zoning is all about the details of what happens today. Zoning also assigns a land use to each parcel. The idea behind the zoning map is that it defines how a parcel will develop, including the allowable land uses, the setbacks, building heights, parking, landscaping, and similar features. The zoning must be consistent with the comprehensive plan. For example, if the comprehensive plan allows only residential, the zoning cannot be commercial. The key message from this slide is that amendments to the comprehensive plan and the zoning map are processed by the city's planning department. If either the comprehensive plan or zoning maps don't allow a project, an amendment would have to be filed with the planning department. It's important to get involved as early in the development process as possible. Public meetings are required for the key steps at the bottom and middle of the pyramid. However, as a project works its way towards the top of the pyramid, the environmental review and the building permit review are completed by staff, but in strict compliance with the approvals that happened earlier. Again, your voice is more effective the earlier you participate in the process. The rest of this webinar will provide a detailed explanation of the next steps in the process, all of which are the Growth Management Department's responsibility. Now that we've outlined a big picture overview of the development process, it's time to look in detail at the role served by the Growth Management Department. We'll illustrate Growth Management's review process with a project located across the street from the Renaissance Building. It's called The Standard. It's a new student housing project that includes 254 units with 876 beds. This slide provides a big picture calendar for the applications needed for The Standard. The individual steps will be described a little later in this presentation. For now, there are two key points that we would ask you to keep in mind. First, the standard began its review in February 2017, and the initial building permits were issued 8 months later in September 2017. Second, the city processed the various reviews simultaneously whenever possible. For example, the standard's concurrency, site plan, and environmental management permits were reviewed simultaneously. Likewise, the review of nearly all of the building permits started prior to final approval of the environmental management permit. It's important to keep in mind that the standard is a very complex project that occupies an entire city block. Most projects require less review time. All projects reviewed by growth management staff are on a review deadline. We take that commitment seriously. This slide shows how we did for the standard. Column 1 lists the type of application. Column 2 lists our goal for completing the review. Column 3 shows how we actually performed. The fourth column lists the number of days by which we were early or late. City staff finished its reviews early or on schedule for 10 of the 12 applications. In total, however, staff's reviews were delivered 3 days earlier than our promised deadline. This slide shows all of the permits needed by the standard. They are ordered in the way that they typically flow from beginning to end. This slide will be repeated at the start of the discussion for each type of application. We'll start at the very beginning at the far left side with the pre-submittal application. As is the case with all cities, there are a variety of departments involved in the development review process. This slide shows that there are 11 city agencies that review projects in Tallahassee. Whether you're a large developer or simply a longtime Tallahassee resident who just wants to subdivide a parcel from 1 into 2 lots, we want to make the review process as straightforward as possible. That's where a pre-submittal helps. Instead of having to contact each of the 11 city departments individually, a pre-submittal brings them all to you in a single step. Each Thursday morning, staff from the noted 11 departments gather at the city's Renaissance building to discuss pre-submittal applications. Pre-submittals are free, and you'll receive detailed feedback in 7 calendar days. They are optional and typically occur as the first step in the development process. Our goal in offering pre-submittals is to establish early lines of communication to save you both time and money. While a pre-submittal does not provide any approvals to begin building, it does provide detailed early guidance on code standards. Applicants simply need to create an account on the city's online permit portal at the website shown on the screen. To apply, simply upload a site plan and a project description to the permit portal. If you apply by any Thursday by 10 a.m., you're guaranteed a spot on the agenda for the following Thursday. The standard did opt to file for an application for a pre-submittal. It was received on February 8, and staff provided 71 detailed comments 1 week later. Comments ranged from drainage to green space requirements, parking, sidewalks, and many other issues. The next step in the development process is a natural features inventory. A natural features inventory documents the preservation or conservation features on the site. Broadly speaking, preservation features are significant ecological resources which must be preserved in their natural state. If a site has conservation features, on the other hand, limited development might be possible subject to strict standards to ensure the conservation of the resource. The natural features inventory for the standard was approved in 19 days and found that a 100-year altered floodplain exists at the site. A land use compliance certificate is the next step in the development process. It's the very first step of the land use review and serves 3 purposes. First, it identifies whether the proposed use is permitted by the Land Development Code. Second, it defines the review process that must be followed. Third, it highlights known site challenges that may be encountered. The review time for a land use compliance certificate is 7 calendar days. It establishes the framework for the city's review and also creates certainty for the applicant. The land use compliance certificate for the standard was issued in 4 days and confirmed that the site is eligible for up to 265 multifamily student housing units. Most projects apply for concurrency shortly after the land use compliance certificate. Concurrency is how the city determines if there is adequate road and stormwater capacity to serve a project at the adopted level of service. The analysis is based on the land use and size of the project. The concurrency review for the standard confirmed that the site is eligible for 876 beds and 3,300 square feet of commercial. No concurrency fee was due for the standard since it's located in the multimodal transportation district. As mentioned a few slides ago, the first environmental review was the Natural Features Inventory. As its name suggests, it is simply an inventory of environmental resources on a site. The next step is the second environmental document. It's known as the Environmental Impact Analysis. The Environmental Impact Analysis evaluates the proposed impacts to the preservation or conservation features documented in the Natural Features Inventory. It also indicates the mitigation proposed for those impacts. In the case of the standard, the Environmental Impact Analysis was issued in 21 days and provided detailed mapping on the boundaries of the 100-year floodplain. The next step in the review process would either be a site plan or a subdivision. A site plan is needed for both a multifamily project or a non-residential project larger than 2,500 square feet. A subdivision, on the other hand, would be needed for the division of land into multiple lots through a plat. The standard required a site plan, so the next 2 slides focus on site plans. Site plans serve 2 purposes. First, they define a project's scope, magnitude, location, and configuration. Second, they provide clarity for both the city and the owner that the proposed design can be permitted as envisioned. There are 4 types of site plans. A Type A site plan requires no deviations from the Land Development Code, while a Type B site plan does need a deviation. A Type C site plan is for a new school, and a Type D site plan is for a large government infrastructure, like a power plant. Type A site plans are reviewed each Thursday by a staff committee, while Type B, C, and D site plans are reviewed twice per month by the Development Review Committee in an advertised public hearing. It's important to note that Type C site plans also require the final approval of the Planning Commission, and Type D site plans require final approval from the City Commission. The standard received a Type A site plan since it did not require any deviations. The site plan received conditional approval in 1 week, and final approval occurred in just under 2 months after 2 resubmittals. As noted previously, the initial review, as well as the resubmittals, are on a strict review clock. Staff's review of the initial submittal and the 2 resubmittals required 23 days. The applicant's consultants had the project for the 29 days in between resubmittals. We're now ready to discuss the environmental management permit. All of the prior reviews were leading to the environmental management permit, which is the final step prior to the issuance of the building permit. The environmental management permit provides the detailed analysis of protected trees, stormwater management, site grading, erosion and sediment controls, and landscaping. The focus is on compliance with required mitigation for regulated features, protected trees, and other requirements of the Tallahassee Land Development Code. As a practical matter, the environmental management permit results in detailed construction drawings that both protect environmental resources and serve as the basis for the site disturbance and building permit. The standard for tree protection is typically expressed in terms of a tree's diameter at breast height, or DBH. DBH is the tree's diameter measured 4.5 feet above the ground. The standards for tree protection are different for single-family detached lots and all other development. For single-family detached lots, trees that are greater than or equal to 36 inches dBH are protected. At all other sites, trees in the perimeter zone that are greater than or equal to 4 inches dBH are protected. Also, all dogwoods greater than or equal to 4 inches dBH, hardwoods and longleaf pines greater than or equal to 12 inches dBH, and all other trees greater than or equal to 18 inches dBH are protected. The Standards Environmental Management Permit was received in May 2017 and was issued in September 2017. It was actually ready to be issued much earlier than that, but was delayed until the developer acquired all of the land that is included in the project. The Standards Environmental Management Permit provided construction documents to allow the project to proceed to the issuance of the building permit. With the issuance of the Environmental Management Permit, the building permit can now be issued. In the case of the standard, the developer opted to apply for building permits prior to the approval of the Environmental Management Permit. Applying for many types of building permits in the city of Tallahassee is a paper-free digital process. We're working to streamline our processes to serve you better. More information about how to apply for a building permit is at the Building Inspection Division website at the bottom of the screen. For example, City Projects provides an online platform that citizens use to upload building permit and zoning applications. City Works tracks the status of applications. It's used by the city staff to approve projects or identify needed information. Also, OnBase serves as a digital archive of past building permit, zoning, and environmental applications. The city offers a variety of enhanced permitting options to make your job easier, such as expedited plan review, faxed-in permits, and online permits. Also, our residential money-back guarantee commits the city to issuing residential building permits within 7 business days, or the application fees are refunded. The city's Building Inspection Division issues a full range of permits, including building, roofing, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fuel gas. The standard required demolition permits to remove existing duplexes at the site, a stormwater permit for an on-site retention facility, a foundation permit, building permits for both the main building and the parking garage, and also electrical, mechanical, and plumbing permits. Finally, the certificate of occupancy is the last step in the permitting process. The certificate of occupancy allows the owner to occupy the building. It's issued after all construction required by permits is completed and all fees are paid. The city will issue a temporary certificate of occupancy if all life safety issues are addressed. The certificate of occupancy for the standard was issued in 2019 and the facility is now occupied. We'll wrap up this webinar with a few closing thoughts. We've sought to provide an overview of the city's development process so that all stakeholders can be more effective participants in it. As is the case in any city in the country, the development process is a careful balancing act between the rights of neighbors and the rights of property owners. What is certain is that our community has evolved over time and will continue to do so. The neighborhoods around the Capitol and Cascades Park were sparsely developed in 1937, as shown at the top left of the screen. In the intervening 80 or so years, that neighborhood has been transformed and would barely be recognized by Tallahassee residents from the 1930s. More change will come. Change is inevitable, unnerving, controversial, and often difficult. But change can also bring opportunity, jobs, revitalization, and a sense of community. On behalf of the entire community, the goal of the Growth Management Department is to guide and balance change based on the standards in the adopted Land Development Code. We need you to do our job effectively. We are your neighbors, but we don't always live in the same neighborhood. You bring a unique perspective to the development process. You're the boots on the ground. Please consider getting involved. You can attend a hearing, write a letter, or participate in a community meeting. The outcome might not always exactly match your view of things. However, we promise to listen, and to do our best to address your thoughts and concerns. Thanks for viewing this webinar.